The type of person that's the best to work with, the students of mine that have had the most success, are the action takers. It might be too obvious, but too many people want to come in. They want to pay to have coaching. They want to invest in themselves. It's an investment. Once you realize that it's an investment for a return, for you to get better, to create more opportunity for yourself, that in itself, the mindset is really important. But a lot of people want the easy button.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Eat, Sleep, and Invest. I'm your host, Brian Driscoll, and I'm here with Dean Rogers. What's up, man?
Let's go. What's up?
Same old. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just out here, chasing deals and chasing my kids around. I got 4 kids, so they keep me busy.
So, hey, everyone listening, Dean's got an interesting background. So, Dean, why don't you give us a little information on where you came from or where you come from, what all you did, life experiences, and how you got into real estate?
Yeah. So I'll unpack that. I started out, I grew up in Central California, little town called Visalia, farm town. Growing up, my dreams were to be a professional athlete. And when I filled out in school, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I literally wrote down, basketball player if it was basketball season, or football player if it was football season, And my childhood dreams came true. I actually made it to the NFL for the San Diego Chargers, signed a 3-year deal with them. And overnight, like out of a movie, it literally felt like a movie the whole time. It was pretty insane. All the status, all the fame, all the glitz and glamour, the Hollywood stuff, the access to anything you want was at my fingertips and was just a wild roller coaster. And the coolest, most fulfilling thing, Brian, was that I got the validation confirmation that like I belong there. Playing in the games felt good, played good. Had the head coach, Norv Turner, telling me I was going to have a long career multiple times. And I'm like, pinch me, dude. This is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Overnight, like weeks before, I'm playing video games. I'm playing Madden on the Xbox. I'm playing with the, Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates, people I've looked up to and watched on the big screen. And now I'm literally sitting across a couple lockers away from them, having locker room conversations with them, catching passes with them. Like, this is crazy. It just was.
How does it feel walking into that locker room the first time?
It was overwhelming, dude. It was overwhelming. Like the most overwhelming thing, and I've talked about this with other guys in the NFL, the most overwhelming thing, unless you played at like the biggest schools in college, which I didn't. I went to a small football school, UC Davis, and, had a good career there as a tight end. The biggest, most overwhelming thing is the size of the linemen. The offense and defensive linemen are the biggest human beings you have ever seen in your life and the most athletic people on the field. You won't hear most people say that because you're watching Tyreek Hill, running 1,000 miles an hour. You're seeing Patrick Mahomes, throwing crazy passes. You're seeing all these athletic guys, Christian McCaffrey running like the Energizer Bunny. But the offense and defensive linemen on the field are almost just as fast, if not faster, than a lot of the players on the field. They can jump higher than most of them. They are significantly stronger than everyone else on the field. And to get blasted by one of those guys will put the fear of God in you. Like, they are so huge and massive and strong and fast. Like I said, like when you're in a dead sprint down the field and you look over and there's just like a 6'8" guy who's just running faster than you, you're just terrified. So
I can only imagine too, because like you figure everyone watching the game, people don't look that big because everybody's big.
Yeah.
It's not like they got, like, I'm 5'8". It's not like I'm standing by some of these guys. So everyone's looking at the field. They got a whole bunch of 6'4", and like everyone's average. But then when you're like in front of them, it's like, it's a big dude.
I'm 6'3", and I was just like a normal dude. Like, I like to play the joke when I get in cars and we're, going around places for events. People are like, hey, you want the front seat? I'm like, dude, I'm used to sitting in the back seat in the middle because I'm sometimes the smallest guy here. You know what I mean? Like, I'll cram into a small place if we need to get somewhere. But that first day was extremely overwhelming. And I actually remember having that human reaction of like fear overcome my body. And I had to go to sleep and calm down. I woke up the next day, was like, all right, I got this. I know how to play this game, and just got right after it and was lights out from the first play. So that whole experience was insane, was extremely fun. The only catch for me in my story, my journey, was Norv Turner moved me from tight end. We had Antonio Gates, Hall of Famer. He moved me to fullback. And at fullback, I was playing great, feeling great from the neck down. But at fullback, there's almost no way to avoid it. You're going to have a lot more head-on collisions repeatedly, more than any other position on the field, because you are, by position, really meant to just run into people and get them out of the way for the running back. And you are also doing that from the furthest distance than anyone else on the field. When I was a tight end, I would block a guy 2 yards away from me. When you're an offensive lineman, you're hitting each other all day, but you're blocking a guy 1 or 2 yards away from you. At fullback, you're running 10 yards distance and you're just battering rams. And when you're running through the guards and tackles on an ISO play up the middle, you're usually leading with your head if you're trying to blow that dude up. So I was good at it, but all the alarms were going off in my head of like, holy smokes, dude, you're going to die if you keep doing this. So the short story is I made the hardest decision in my life. I decided to not talk to anybody, consult with anybody. I just had one conversation with the head coach and the general manager, and it was done. I walked away. And
really?
Yeah. And it was the toughest decision that I've ever made, but I knew that I got the dream life in one hand, lots of money, fame, status, all these great things, or I have my health and trying to live as long as possible. So I hung up the cleats and I started over from scratch. I mean, just like ground zero. And a lot of people might hear, oh, he was in the NFL, he made a bunch of money. Well, I did sign a 7-figure deal and was going to make a lot of money. But when you walk away early, you don't walk away with all your money. So I walked away with almost nothing, and I had to deal with that. And it was really hard because I didn't have any other life skills. I didn't know what else I liked. And I was really fortunate to have one of my college teammates call me and was like, hey, I know you're done. What are you doing? I think there's a good opportunity for you to work at this corporate company, this corporate job. So he walked me in the door, passed all the red tape, got the job right away, right before this company was going to go public, Silicon Valley, Bay Area, all this great stuff. The only catch on that was I was getting started at like an entry level peon level. So I didn't get tons of stock. I got a little bit. I didn't get tons of stock, and I got entry level $65,000 salary. So I went from a 7-figure contract to $65,000 salary in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, which is basically like making negative money.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. So here I am thinking to myself, all right, well, again, I made this decision for this reason. I'm just going to give it everything I got. I'm going to go all out. I mean, I'm literally built at this point. My body's physically ready for war and battle, and physically, mentally, like I'm prepared for playing in 80,000 people stadiums with, the game on the line. Like I'm battle tested. And here I am slapping a keyboard around, from a 9-to-5 job. So I thought it was incredibly easy. And I'm thinking to myself, well, they're going to notice my talent. They're going to give me a big pay raise, right? Well, after a year passes, I'm thinking, aren't I supposed to get a raise? Like how does this whole thing work? And then 13 months go by, 14 months go by. I finally nudged my manager. I'm like, hey, how does this whole thing work with the raise? He said, let me go talk to the people upstairs. So he comes back to me like a week or two later. It's like, hey, we got you a pay raise. You're going from $65,000 to $67,000. So here I am thinking to myself, holy crap, this is not going to work out. And my gut is just in knots.
What year was this? Like how long ago was this?
This is 2013 that I have this. I start working in 2012, 2013, come to this realization, holy crap, I got to take the bull by the horns. I got to do something else. This isn't going to work. So I go home to my 424 square foot studio in San Francisco. I'm thinking to myself, what else do I even like? The only thing I could think of is liking, house flipping shows that I used to watch with my parents in the living room. So I type in how to get started in real estate, not knowing what I wanted to do. I thought maybe I'd be a realtor or something. So I type in how to get started in real estate. And the first thing that pops up is a real estate investing podcast from Sean Terry, Flip to Freedom. And nice. It says how to get started with little to no money. And I was like, that is me. I have little to no money because, dude, going a year on $65,000 salary, I was living paycheck to paycheck. My credit cards started to go up and up and up. Now, granted, I found a way to go to Hawaii a couple times that year because I wanted to go live my life. Putting it on a credit card, not the best idea. So my credit cards are rising. And at the same moment where they tell me I'm getting a $2,000 pay raise, I had to go buy groceries with my wife's new Target credit card that she had a $500 limit on. And I had to go buy groceries at Target because that was the only thing I had money for, to buy groceries at that point. That was such a low moment. That was such a gut punch. I mean, I was at the top of the game. I was in the NFL, and here I am now having to buy groceries with a Target credit card. So, I was feeling like I had to do something. I felt like I wouldn't say I was at rock bottom, but I felt pretty low. And I realized that it was me. I was going to be the one to save myself. It wasn't someone else. It wasn't someone else that was going to show up with, a bag of money or some new great opportunity. I had to create the opportunity myself. So I found that podcast. I became insanely obsessed with what I realized was possible, like real estate investing. Sean would bring on the pest control guy and the plumber and the average Joe who was making 30,000 and now making hundreds of thousands. And I thought to myself, holy crap, if this guy can take these instructions and implement it, I know I can do it too. So that was the belief that I needed. And I just took consistent, massive action. And I did my first deal in 3 months. Now, the cool short story on that was I found my first deal following everything that Sean Terry was teaching, so much so that I found a deal in his market in Arizona. But I couldn't find a buyer. Even though I was trying his strategies to find buyers on Craigslist, I couldn't find a buyer that wanted it. And so I went to Sean Terry's website and I filled it out like I was a seller. And then his acquisition guy called me. I told him I got the deal under contract. Can you guys help me? He's like, I'll have Sean give you a call. So Sean Terry calls me. He's driving his car and he's like, oh yeah, I can help you sell that. He gets it sold in 48 hours. We get the deal closed. We make 12 grand and split it 50-50. I made 6 grand. And I was like, hell yeah, dude, let's try to do this as much as we can.
Yeah, that's huge. Like, how'd you feel when that happened?
I was in the office, man, and I just remember seeing the 6 grand hit my bank account and just giving like a good old football, like, woo, like yelling out loud. And one of my buddies who knew what I was doing was like, you just closed the deal, huh? I was like, yeah, I did. Like, this is crazy. That was a whole month's worth of salary for me at that point. And I'm thinking to myself, if this is what it took, I can repeat this. I can do it over and over again. How much bigger can I get this? So that was the start of my journey, man.
It's pretty solid. In 3 months too, that's pretty decent. Because I know a lot of guys, some guys tell me it's like, it took me 18 months to get the first deal. But once you figure it out, you're good.
Once you figure it out, that's the key. The key is, having the right information and then taking the right action. Those are the 2 keys right there to have success. Because if you have the wrong information and a lot of action, you're going to be doing the wrong stuff. If you have the right information and not enough action, you're not going to be getting the momentum that you need. If you have both of those, that's when you can really have those breakthroughs. So I had the right information, I took the right action consistently, and I got my breakthrough. And for me, like that proof of concept was so powerful. And I think that's what a lot of people need. Then it's about repeating it. So I was able to repeat it about another 6 or 8 times that year in my first year. And I felt really good. I felt really confident. I made about 60 grand doing it. And not all of that was, in the bank. I had been reinvesting it into marketing and trying different strategies to continue to accelerate that. And so I maybe had $15,000, $20,000 left in the bank. And, some of that I used to pay bills and different things like that. So at the end of my first year, I'm thinking, all right, sky's the limit. Let's see where we go next. At that same time, someone who I had been wholesaling deals back in my local market in Central California said to me, hey, I sold him a couple of wholesale deals. He's like, hey, you're really good at finding deals. Do you want to flip houses together? I'm thinking, holy crap, like that would be so cool to flip a house. I'm young, I'm optimistic, I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to flip houses, but I don't have any money. Like, I really don't have any money. He's like, dude, just bring the deal. I'll bring the rest. I'll bring the money. I'll flip. I'll manage the project. I'll take care of the rest. That's what I do. I'm like, okay, sweet. Let's do it. He then said, well, it's slowing down a little bit here in Central California. You said you were doing deals in Arizona, right? Yeah. Well, do you want to flip houses there? I said, well, I got some contacts. I'm sure it'd be pretty easy to find some deals. It's a bigger market. He's like, all right, let's do it. So start calling some people, put some deals together. We buy 6 houses in the first month. Brand new partnership, 6 houses. And I'm like gung ho. I'm like, let's buy more. He's like, no, let's slow down. Let's see how these go. Well, it happened to be, he was experienced. I was new. He kind of let me take the reins and kind of run the show. We did all the rookie mistakes. Even though he was experienced, he just was kind of like, hey, everything I'm doing right now is working. Like, it'll work out. Well, we did all the rookie mistakes. We rushed into choosing a contractor, chose a total crook who did terrible work, took the money and ran. We had trusted other people's due diligence, trusted other people's comps, trusted other people's values. And so we bought houses based on what they said they were worth, not based on what we knew they were worth, right? We were in an unfamiliar place without doing the proper due diligence. So we had the wrong comps, bad contractors. 4 of the 6 deals worked out okay. One deal we made 10 grand, another we wholesaled and made 15. One we flipped and made 22. The other 2 bad apples that we got caught up with bad numbers, bad contractors, I ended up losing $100,000. Got wrecked. Everything went wrong. Project went really long. The market, the prices were completely off. We had to redo the construction work and remodel work on both the houses because it was so bad. Everything went wrong. And here I am now, not at break even, not at ground zero. I'm at a negative. I'm underground, like I'm in the grave. And this was with a new partnership too. Like we started out our new partnership by losing money. And I was so fortunate, and still to this day, that partner was able to shoulder my burden. He shouldered my loss. He carried that loss for me as well as his own, and was in the position to do that. And then I, over the next year and a half, had to pay him back. I had to work for free for the next year and a half. And the only way that we were able to do that is to look each other in the face and say, all right, it's no one's fault here but ourselves. Let's figure this out. Let's go do more deals. And I think one of the most important things when it comes to a partnership is not pointing fingers and having the right positive mindset. And so we picked ourselves back up off the ground and started doing more deals. I paid him back, got back to break even, and started flipping more houses. And we scaled it up to the point where we were flipping 20 houses at a time and just cranking through doing deals. So that was a really, really hard thing for me to do. Again, like here I am, I'm finally getting into this new business, and I just got set back below zero and had to crawl my way out. So that was really painful.
Give you some credit there, though, because a lot of guys would be like, you know what, I'm not made for this. This is too high risk, and just bail.
And my partner tells me he would talk with his assistant and be like, we'll see if this guy pays me back, because a lot of people just tuck their tail and run, never show their face again, especially with that kind of amount of money, So
you guys still work together?
The coolest thing is we're still business partners to this day, 9 years later.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You locked out too, hooking up with a guy, like whenever you first started, that was legit and like a good person.
Legit, good person. Yeah, I feel like we would both tell the same story, that we felt like we both got really lucky. There was something that I brought to the table in terms of marketing and hustle and organization and stuff that he didn't have. He had all the experience, the know-how, the connections, the relationships, access to capital. And so the two of us together were really, dynamic and good together. So just when I thought I'd learned my lesson, right? We're doing all these flips. Now, the honest truth was we were just going for volume. We were doing a lot of deals, but we were doing a lot of deals because we were willing to take smaller margin. Like when we're running our deal analyzer, oh man, if it says we'll make 20 on paper, how many of those can we do? We can do a couple more a month. That's 40, 60, 80 more $1,000. Let's do as many of those as possible. Well, what happened was by doing so many at a time, it just became the law of diminishing returns for us. Instead of it being 20 on paper, in real life, it ended up being 7, ended up being 11, whatever it was. And when you account for your marketing costs, your overhead costs, like you might have broke even on that deal, and you spent 3, 4, 5 months on it. So as we were just cranking through these deals and kind of, we were making money, but not a lot. What ended up happening is I had this feeling of being cash poor all the time because money was in, money was out, money was in, money was out with all these flips. And I felt like I needed a big deal. I needed another deal, right? And when you get in that feeling of needing, you start to rush into things. Okay. This is a cautionary tale. And I was living back in San Diego at this point. Okay. And I had been building a network and community of people down here, of other real estate investors. Lots of great people. There was just one person that was in the group who was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and none of us knew it. We all knew he was a little off, a little different, but man, he's doing a lot of great things, or so it seems. And so some of us were lured in by wanting to test it out. Let's maybe do a deal. He's got a lot of deals going on. So me being in that state of mind of needing a deal and being in that, circle and conversation with this person, he presented some opportunities and I was like, yes, I'll pick that one. Like I need to do a deal. What does it say? What are the numbers? Yes, I'm going to do that. What's the turnaround time? Yes, let's do that deal. And I happened to rush into a deal that was something completely out of my education. It was a new construction deal, brand up, new construction, ground up. And the comfort for me was there was 2 lots, one house next to each other. He was going to build one and build the other for me. So both projects going at the same time. It's going to be, side by side. Now he had told me everything, plans, permits, everything was ready to go and we could get this deal done. Well, it turns out that it was all a house of cards. From the day I bought it, all the cards started to fall and realized that it was all a lie. And so I had to go through this through the next year. Now I had to spend another year of pain of like peeling back the onion and fixing all these problems and negotiating with civil engineers and the city and architects and all these people to like figure out even what needed to be done and also try to renegotiate prices because there was tens of thousands of dollars of bills that were unpaid, money that was drawn from the lender, all of these terrible things that I could have easily avoided if I just would have asked some more questions. If I would have just picked up the phone and asked a couple people what they thought that understood about the deal and really would have saved myself all this pain and heartache. So I guess I needed to learn another really big lesson. And those lessons I learned were, make the extra phone call. If you're doing something new, go find people that know how to do it and ask several of them. Ask the extra question and don't rush into a deal. It's better to do no deal than a bad deal. So I got crushed on that deal, Brian. I lost $187,000.
Getting some punches to the face.
Just blasted in the face and was set back to, 0 again.
But you still decided to stick it out.
Here I am, 4 years into the game, been working blood, sweat, and tears and back to 0 again. And I just thought to myself, again, no one's going to come save me. I got to do it. I'm not a quitter.
Your wife's got to be a sweetheart.
Oh my God. She's a saint for sticking through that. We just knew like there was no other alternative. The W-2 job wasn't going to save me. It wasn't going to pay me enough. I didn't want to just clock in and clock out. I had to make this work. So I did the smart thing. I did what I knew I should have done when I got started. And I hired a coach. I started getting training of what really worked, how to run this the right way, consistent marketing, consistent systems. And I pivoted back to wholesaling, my roots. And by doing that, we got focused on what we were best at, finding deals, negotiating deals, and getting paid quickly without the risk of flipping houses. And only the best, the juiciest, the easiest deals would we flip. Only the best of the best deals would we keep as rentals. Now I needed to start building wealth. I need to keep rentals. So at that time, I pivoted and changed my business, flipped it on its head. And now we scaled it to, doing 100 deals a year. At this point, I've done over 600 deals, got a rental portfolio of almost $10 million, and can say proudly that the past handful of years, I know what works, how to do it consistently. I've hired people onto the team. We've got a team of 6 at this point, and now I spend very little time working in the business. Now I work on the business and making sure that things are working correctly. I'm putting my team in the best position to win. And fortunately, I'm in the position where now I can coach and train other people how to do it themselves. I'm insanely passionate about that. So it's been a journey.
That's pretty cool. I hear some things in there too. It's like, okay, in the beginning, you got lucky and hooked up with the right guy. And I always look at, I don't know if you've ever read Richest Man in Babylon, but like the 5 Laws of Gold. It's like, if you're going to partner up with someone with experience.
Yeah.
And other laws, don't get hooked up with tricksters and schemers, which you got to experience later.
Yeah.
Right. And now you're taking all those punches in the face and you're helping other people not make some of those same mistakes because you've already felt them.
Yeah.
So you're taking a role like the first partner you had that had experience with other people now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty cool. One question, back to the football. When you decided to leave there, how did you make that decision? That's a humongous decision.
Yeah, it was tough, man, because again, like I'm trying to think of another way. Like I'm sure you're a part of different masterminds and different things like that, right? Like,
yeah,
there's different people. Some of these real estate investors that you've maybe seen online, you look up to, you admire. When you're a part of a mastermind that they're in, you're one of the guys. You're in the club. Like you're now a peer, and now there's a level of like respect and information you're willing to share with each other. It's not like that person's at a distance anymore. It's a different relationship. It's same thing with the NFL. Like when you're in the locker room, now you're one of the guys. Like again, it was a weird thing for me because here I am, not growing up in a big city or anything like that, but I had both different stories of Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates coming up to me and just striking up a conversation with me, asking me questions about, oh, you said you grew up in Visalia, like, oh, I got a story about Visalia, and talking about stuff like that, just making a connection and just little things like that were really, really cool. So once you're in, and if you can play, and people respect you. And so to get the respect from players, to get the respect from the head coach and that validation of like, hey, you're going to have a long career, it's hard to want to walk away from that, And when you see what's possible, I mean, when I say Hollywood lifestyle, like everywhere you go is a red carpet. People are screaming, wanting to get your autograph, even for me, and I'm a nobody at this point, and people are following you to your car. They're wanting to, my phone is blowing up with DMs like crazy. I remember the first day I turned my phone off because I was like, I'm going to just stay focused. When I got back that night and turned it on, I'm not joking. It literally was vibrating and making notification sounds for over an hour of the hundreds and hundreds of DMs and messages and text messages and voicemails and everything. Like it was just like crazy. So like you're held at a whole new level when you get there. So to want to walk away from that and you spent your whole life to get there is kind of crazy. But that's why I made that decision so fast and I didn't drag it out. I didn't talk to my wife. I didn't talk to my family. I didn't talk to my friends, didn't talk to different players. It was just like, all right, I'm done. I got to go. Because if I talk to anybody, they're going to tell me I'm crazy and tell me like, no, man, like try to get back to tight end or try to do this or, you can stick it out, So, I just walked away and that was it. That was the decision.
Yeah. I guess when you know, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. I think some people dilly-dally around too. Like they know something, but then they start talking to other people and then they get swayed and all this kind of stuff. Versus if you know what you need to do, just take action. Then you can move on and do, like, you don't dwell on it.
Yeah. And I've talked to a lot of other guys in the NFL and I'll hear stories of like, hey, I wish I would have got out sooner, or hey, I took a lot of hits in the head and, oh, man, like I knew I shouldn't have done that, different things like that. It's just part of the game. It's part of the game, especially depending on what position you're in. For me, the position I was in at fullback, there was no way around it.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're helping people with real estate. So number one, what types of people are a good fit to work with you? Like what types of people do you have good success with? You're like, hey, if you're like this, there's probably a high likelihood I can help you out and we can like get things rolling.
The type of person that's the best to work with, the students of mine that have had the most success are the action takers. It might be too obvious, but too many people want to come in. They want to pay to have coaching, right? They want to invest in themselves. It's an investment, right? Once you realize that it's an investment for a return for you to get better, to create more opportunity for yourself, that in itself, the mindset is really important. But a lot of people want the easy button. They want to join coaching and they want to press the easy button and it all just to work. The deals to come to them. You still got to do the work. I've got the blueprint. I've got the playbook. I even call it the wholesaling playbook. I tell you what's working for us and what's working for many others across the nation. What's working for our students. And I can tell you that till I go blue in the face. But if you don't do the actions that are necessary to pick up the phone and talk to people, this is a people business. You have to be talking to people. You have to be making offers. If you aren't making offers, you're going to get no deals. If you aren't generating leads to make offers, you're not going to get deals. I say that in my social media stuff. No leads equals no offers equals no deals. So you've got to do the work. I'm going to show you what works, but you still got to do the work. So the action takers are the ones that get the best results. And also the people that use me as a resource. Like in my coaching program, I give you my cell phone and I tell you, text me with any question you have. I want to help you. I want to help you through the small stuff. I want to help you through the difficult stuff. And my students that are texting me the most, asking me the important questions, showing that they're taking action, those are the ones that are getting the best results. And there's not a better feeling than being able to help someone walk through something that turns into a $25,000 deal, a $50,000 deal. I have one student that has a deal he's going to close soon, make over $300,000. And to me, it's such a cool feeling. It's such a good feeling. And to think what's possible by us working together, when you understand the power of a community and what you can accomplish together, you can win so much more with other people. That's one of the most powerful, underrated hacks today is you can accomplish so much more. There's enough deals for everybody, right? There's enough deals for everybody, but together you can win more, bigger and better deals, more deals. The moment you realize that, it becomes more fun and you can get better results. So that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. Like everyone listening too, you can learn from other people's mistakes. Like everyone always says, learn from others' mistakes, hang around people more successful with you because they like to pull you up, things like that. But in the real world though, like Dean has had years of pain that he's experienced. It's not like just, oh yeah, I'm going to learn from this one mistake. You got to experience some really bad stuff to like come out in the end, but he learned from it. And that's the cool thing is because when you work with people that are successful now, you get to a lot of times skip that or at least feel less. You know what I mean? So I think that's really important. Dean, what's the best way for people to connect with you?
Yeah, people can go to deanrogers.com. So I make it real easy. Just go to deanrogers.com. You guys will see all my social media stuff on there. Find out more information about joining the community. Also, the call to action I always say is go follow me on Instagram, Dean Rogers Real Estate. Shoot me a DM. Let me know that you saw this podcast. Connection is the best thing that can happen from this podcast. So if you've listened to this, you've received value, you want to stay in contact, shoot me a DM. I love getting DMs, responding, connecting, seeing how we can help each other win. That's fun.
That's cool. Yeah. And hey guys, we'll put the links in the show notes too, so you can check it out. Dean, you also have a podcast too. How can they find that?
Yeah. So if you go to youtube.com/Dean Rogers, you'll see my podcast on there. Got so many incredible guests, which is just, why podcasts are so good. You can get insight and inspiration and knowledge to help you in your journey.
That's right. Because you guys started on a podcast yourself.
I did. I sure did.
A lot of information out there. Like there's a lot more information now than when you started.
Tremendously. Yeah.
Yeah. So All right, cool, man. Hey, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me, dude. Anytime.
Hey, everyone, thanks for listening. Until next time, get out there, crush it, close some deals. We'll see you guys.